Hey gamers, today we're going to look at Kashgar, Merchants of the Silk Road. Let's check it out. To set up for the game, each player will get their own player board of ginger, cloves, peppers, anise, and cinnamon, gold, and donkeys. You'll set each of these to 3 on your player board. You'll each have 3 patriarchs, and in it you're going to deal out, these are cards that you'll give at the beginning of the game. Each player will get 1. They'll go behind their patriarch here and form the 3 caravans you'll be doing. You have your special workers deck right here. Certain cards will let you pick from that deck. These are just better cards than what's found in the regular deck. And then you also have order cards. You're going to lay 4 of them out here. This is kind of very similar to Splendor in a way, because you're trying to get to 25 points. As you see, they come in different ranges from 1 to, this one's 5. I've seen 6 and 7 point cards as well, and they come in 3 different types of orders. You have special orders, small orders, and large orders. Now that's important because certain cards will only let you qualify for certain orders, unless you have a card like the Spice Merchant, which lets you just fulfill any order there. Now, how the game is played is very simple. What you're going to do is activate one of these 3 caravans and activate the card on front and take the action. So for instance, the Patriarch, which everyone starts with, and basically you just read it off. You draw the 2 cards from this deck and you pick one and discard the other. Now you see points can be plus or minus. They can also count towards your goal to get to 25. Well, I would take a -1 because the Spice Merchant is a really good card to take. Now, some of these cards come with options. You can take this option, that's fine. But if you ever take a red option, then that means you will discard this card from the caravan. It won't go there anymore. And if you look at that, a lot of your starting cards also come with what's called a parting action. So I can either do this, place one of my patriarchs at the back of his caravan, or I can set one of my spices to 7. If I do this one, I have to remove it from my caravan. Now, in some choices like this one, man, I don't want to get rid of this one. It's 3 points. But if I take the action, I get rid of it. Oh no. Well, the game says if you want to just take the action, just move it to the back of the caravan and don't take an action, you can do that and preserve the card. Of course, you kind of waste your turn because every time you take an action, you move the card to the back of the deck and you want to hopefully get something for it. And what the patriarchs give you is let you draw 2 cards and pick one and add it. So if I was to do this, I'd pick, let's say I picked the Spice Merchant. So I'd put this one in the discard pile here, put my patriarch in the back, and then this card behind that one. And so then that's how you would go through, and you could take turns on any one of these decks. Another thing that the patriarch can do, on your turn, you can flip it over and it becomes a matriarch. And when you do that, you place it in the back of your caravan. Now when it comes up again, a matriarch lets you search through the discard pile. So maybe during the game, there's some other cards you may have passed up that you may need now. You can go back through here and pick one. Now you can never pick, with the matriarch, you can never pick a card with a parting action. So anything with red on it, I couldn't pick. I could pick that one, but I couldn't pick this one. I could pick this one too because the farmer has a blue action, which is something like a game-ending point there. So that's the thing with the matriarch. Now once the matriarch picks someone, let's say I picked this little maid here. I picked the maid, I'd put the matriarch back to a patriarch, flip it to the back of the caravan, and then put my maid behind that, and then ready to go. And what you're doing, you're basically it's basically deck building, and you're building 3 different decks here, and of course you're trying to fulfill orders and get points to win the game. Now when fulfilling orders, one thing you need to keep in mind is the donkey level. You must have X amount of donkeys in order to fulfill this request here. So even though I have the spices, if I do not have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 donkeys, which in this case I don't, only have 3, I could not. Even if I was allowed to fulfill a large order, I don't have the requirements there. Some will give you, it only requires 1 donkey to fulfill this order. I give up 2 gold, plus I will get 6 pepper. Some reward you for stuff. And then some like the small order, you have to have at least 2 donkeys. You'll -2 pepper, -1 in the anise, and then -1 on donkeys. Sometimes you have to give up donkeys too to fulfill them. Now each time a card's fulfilled, you'll just draw a new one from the deck. Now, the game ends, of course, when someone hits 25 points. And when that happens, you finish out the round. And, of course, whoever has the most points wins. Final thoughts. What do I think about the game? Love it. Love it. I'll just go ahead and tell you. This is it's like Splendor, but a little bit different. Instead of jewels, you're collecting basically cards, building up caravans, building up spices, selling spices. I've heard in other reviews people say, the theme's really weak. I don't know. I really do enjoy the theme because it is a caravan of people, 3 caravans in fact, sometimes 4, sometimes 2 even, if you get the right cards, that you're working on to, basically, there are cards that will help you thin out your deck as well, is what I mean by that. And you are trying to build the best caravan, but not one to get too big, because then you're trying to get all of your actions in time. But trying to have this, it's basically deck building, which I usually hate, but in this case love, because it's just very simple, and like I said, it plays a lot like Splendor. If you like Splendor, this is a game you need to check out. If you like Century Spice Road, this is a game you need to check out. It's in that wheelhouse, but it's different from those games as well, which is why I'm keeping this game. Really love it. In fact, you can get this game for super cheap as well, I think. This is a pretty decent price. A lot of games. Don't let the price of a board game ever influence your decision on whether to get it or not. If people are selling it for cheap, that doesn't mean it's a bad game. And I see this game get sold for cheap, and it is not a bad game. Actually, in my opinion, it's a great game. Really love this game. Played a lot. So much fun. Kashgar, well worth your time. All right, folks, that's all the time I have for now. But until next time, game on.